All right, guys. So our second preseason game is in the books. The LA Rams took on the Las Vegas Raiders and lost from a score of 17-16, as you can see. Um, so we are now 0-2 in the preseason. The key word to remember here is preseason. So these games don't count. It's more so opportunity to take a look at our depth players, see who's going to make the team. And we saw a lot indeed. We saw a lot indeed. As a matter of fact, it looks like the Rams are going to have a couple of tough decisions to make when it comes down to trimming the roster down to 53. Yes, but we lost 17-16. It was actually quite a pretty exciting game for a preseason game, and well, we let's go ahead and get into it. First of all, let's see. I'll kind of go through this article here. While the Rams fell to the Raiders 17-16 Saturday night at SoFi Stadium, the playmaking display by the Rams' young defensive players, extensive playing time by quarterback Bryce Perkins, running back Jake Funk, and kicker Matt Gay, multifaceted role were among the notable observations. Okay, so we'll go ahead and start with the defense here, and pretty much I'll just kind of go off this guy's list here. Two standouts included J.R. Reed, Bronte Harris. Each came up with an interception. I thought both played relatively well, and both I thought played well in the last game too. So we got some depth for our defensive backs here. And Chris Garrett, I gotta tell you, Chris Garrett was probably, in my opinion, probably the standout player of the game. Um, he had he like it says here, he registered a 6-yard tackle for loss. He had 1.5 sacks and a pass breakup, and it was all on the same series. That was crazy. He was whoever was blocking him could not block him. He was like completely overpowering him. And there was one scene where he completely blasted the quarterback, and the whole sideline, our sidelines went nuts. There was a picture of Aaron Donald and I think Sebastian Joseph Day, just kind of getting real excited after his hit. So, golly, man, here's the thing: he was a seventh round pick from a smaller school, but he was like one of the best players in that division where he was at. Man, and I just don't think you can put him on the practice squad, man. I think if you put him on the practice squad, he's going to get scooped up with a quickness. I think, man, and I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna hate to say it. I think Chris Garrett may have just, depending on how he looks in the next game. I'm interested to see how he'll look in our third preseason game. But I think he may have just took Terrell Lewis's spot, possibly. Terrell Lewis, obviously, as y'all know, was a defensive end draft pick we drafted last year, who is a talented product. I believe he was from Alabama, but he just has a lot of he's been struggling with knee issues, and he's and this offseason he appears to still be struggling with knee issues. He hasn't been practicing a lot, and it's just and it's one of those things, it sucks having to deal with an injury, but if he can't get on the field, he can't get on the field. So I'm starting to think maybe they put Terrell Lewis on the practice squad, and Chris Garrett may take his spot. That is my prediction. I really like what I saw from Chris Garrett. He is a big man, and we need good rotational players on the D line. I thought the D line as a whole played amazing. I thought the whole D line, all our depth players, we have so many good players on the D line, and we're gonna have to cut some of them. And I know, I feel it. I know they're gonna get scooped up if we put them on the practice squad. But it is what it is, though, man. But Chris Garrett, we can't lose him. I thought he was the standout of the entire game. Moving on. And I thought yeah, moving on. Yep. Okay, an extensive look at Bryce Perkins. Perkins got the start at quarterback and played the entire game, finishing 26 of 39 for 208 yards with 2 touchdowns and 1 interception, also rushing 9 times for 41 yards. He led the Rams on 3 scoring drives. The third and final one in epic fashion was a 6-yard scramble on 4th and 5 to keep the drive alive. And yeah, that was crazy. I remember that. That was crazy. And end with a 2-yard touchdown pass to Jacob Harris. But the ensuing 2-point conversion was unsuccessful, and we lost, as you know. But Perkins, I thought I thought Perkins played well. I was a little surprised. I know they had said in the broadcast that I guess the initial idea, I guess according to them, I don't know, was Perkins was going to play like the first half and Hodges was going to play the second half. But when the second half started, Sean just wanted to keep Perkins in. He kept Hodges on the sidelines, and Hodges never came in. And that says a lot. So it says Sean's pretty much done with Doug Hodges. Sorry, man. It is what it is. It's just one of those things, man. Bryce Perkins is playing well. And I like his biggest thing is his athleticism and his escapability. Like, the dude should have been sacked so many more times than he actually was, because he was able to break free and at least get some minimal gains with his legs. It was really exciting to watch. I was very impressed with him, and this forces Sean into a bit of a position here, because we don't usually keep 3 quarterbacks on the roster, okay? Bryce Perkins is QB3 right now. Usually what the plan would be, in my opinion, I'm not there, obviously, but from what I've seen, the plan would be stash Perkins on the practice squad and continue to develop him as a QB3 for a possible role in the future, while keeping Stafford and Wolford as the 1 and 2. The thing is, I just, I don't. If you stash him on the practice squad, I think you're going to lose him. I really believe he's now played well enough where if you put him on the practice squad, I think another team will come and scoop him up. But here's the thing, though. I still don't think he's played better than Wolford could. I really don't. I know everyone's excited about Perkins, but I got to tell y'all something right now. John Wolford could be our starter. Like, I would be, say the trade never happened with Matthew Stafford, I would be comfortable with John Wolford starting all 16, well, okay, I guess now 17 games of the season for us. He's good, guys. Trust me, he's good. So he's locked in at the QB2 spot, all right? And Perkins just isn't there yet. But here's the thing, though. From what I'm seeing, like I said before, Perkins, it's nothing really that he has or hasn't done. It's just that he just hasn't had as many reps. It's just, he hasn't had a chance to play a lot. I think before this first preseason game, the last bit of football he played was like 2 years ago. I thought I heard that on the broadcast somewhere, but so he may develop into something special. But here's the thing: he's not as good as John Wolford right now. He's just not. He's just not. So what does that mean? It means you can't just. Sean has a bit of a decision to make, because now he's good enough. He's not good enough to be the backup quarterback, to be the QB2, to where Sean likes to keep only 2 quarterbacks on the 53-man roster. But he is good enough to where if you put him on the practice squad, someone's going to take him. I can almost bet money on that. Someone will take him. So what do you do? What do you do if you're Sean? I think Sean might just have to bite the bullet and sign him to the 53-man squad and rock 3 quarterbacks, because quarterback is such a valuable position and is so hard to find. Such a good quarterback that can even manage a game at the NFL level. It's so hard. You know, it's you. There's so many factors that have to go into it, and there's so many good things in Perkins that I really like. I thought he was going through his reads a little better than than the first game. I still want him. I still think he really needs to work on that a little more, but I did see a slight bit of improvement in the mental facet, where he's able to read his reads, you know, where the receivers are going, read the defense. I think he can. I think he can do it. I think he's smart enough to be able to do it. Like I say, he just needs the reps. You know, you just need the reps. You can't just sit in the film room all day. You need to go out in the field and play football. So I think he can get. I think he can improve dramatically, but he's just not there yet. And when it's so hard to find a quarterback that's promising like that, Sean, if you're listening to this, in my opinion, as a fan, as a diehard fan from since I was a boy, I think you have to bite the bullet. I think you have to sign 3 quarterbacks to the final 53, and you're just gonna have to lose out on somebody. It sucks. It sucks, but I'm telling you, if you put him on the practice squad, he's gonna be gone. Period. He's going to be gone. Period. Someone's gonna scoop him up. So that's just my opinion. That's what I liked. I very much liked what I saw from Bryce Perkins. The fact that he played the entire game and Hodges was just kept on the sideline is very telling. So I'm interested to see. I've heard some guys say, "Oh well, you know, since Perkins played this entire game, I think Hodges will play the entire game next." That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. I think now we have a situation where Sean is kind of over Hodges, and he is more latched on to Perkins for the QB3 role. And I know that may sound cruel, Hodges, if you hear this, but I'm sorry, brother. It is what it is. All right, it is what it is. All right, just keep working on you. Keep grinding, and you never know what can happen. All right, you'll probably stash Hodges on the practice squad. Moving on. Sticking with the offense, Jake Funk gets the start at running back. I thought the running game as a whole looked a lot better than the first game. After Xavier Jones started at running back in the preseason, it was Funk's turn to do so in week 2. He rushed for a team-high 56 yards on 7 attempts. He also looked agile and explosive, breaking off runs of 12, 14, and 19 during Saturday's game. He looked so good. And I've been saying this for a while now, man. I just get this feeling, guys. I get this feeling in my soul that Jake Funk, specifically Jake Funk and Jacob Harris, are going to be integrated into our starting offense, throughout the regular season. I think Sean has some roles for them, and I think they will. I think he plans to use them in our starting offense, and I believe that they will play well. You know, so impressive. You know, I've heard very good things about him despite him having 2 ACL tears, so I'm glad he played well. Xavier Jones looked good too. He's very shifty. So I'm still not entirely satisfied with the running game, but it was an improvement. It certainly was an improvement in that regard. So I was pleased from the little I saw, you know, from them. But it still needs to improve, but I like the direction it's going. Here we got double duty for kicker Matt Gay. So Both punters, Johnny Hecker and Corey Barquez, were placed on the COVID-19 reserve list. So Matt Gay had to do double duty today. So that was interesting. He had 42 yards per punt on 4 punts, and he made one of two field goal attempts. The second, a 43-yard attempt, was blocked. Though by that point in the game, he was probably exhausted. Which, as you know, I don't really have a lot of patience with special teams. I don't, specifically to kickers. My whole thing is I understand it's harder than it looks. I understand that. I understand I can't do it, but I also understand that that's all you have to do in practice. You got to kick. So I'm very tough on kickers if they can't make field goal attempts. All right? Like, what the hell are you doing in practice? But in this situation here, the guy did do double duty. He was doing punts and kicks, and I would imagine you would get kind of tired, despite, even though you were a professional football player, all right, I would feel like you would have the ability to kick a ball on punt and to kick a ball for a field goal attempt. But I understand it's probably he probably was tired. I thought he did play well though, so I am happy with Matt Gay. I'm happy with him as our kicker. Just tighten things up. It is the preseason, nothing to get too crazy about. Just tighten the game up a little bit because we are going to need you to make those kicks because some of these games I can just tell are going to come right down to the wire. We need you to come through for us. We need you to come through for us in the best way possible. Okay, so TTU Atwell. I was pleased with what I saw from TTU Atwell. It was a busy night for Atwell, who caught 8 of 13 targets, 8 for 46 yards, and returned a punt. He got banged up a couple times, and he had to get his ankle taped amid all that activity, but said afterwards he was fine and he had no injuries. Here's the thing. I was pleased. There was a couple things with TTU Atwell. Overall, I was pleased with what I saw from him. I thought he played well. His speed is very noticeable on screen on the television set. I thought he has a lot of potential. He does, and I think he is going to be a good football player for us. But there are some concerns. One being just with his body type, how small he is. The dude was getting wrecked so many times, dude. He got blasted like on a number of occasions where the defensive players for I almost said Oakland, Las Vegas, completely like smacked him, and he was like having trouble getting up. My whole thing is he going to be able to last an entire season getting smacked around by starters on the defensive side, man? Because we got some physical teams in our division alone, dude, and I worry that Tutu won't be able to hold up, unfortunately, because for as talented as I think he can be, he's so small, man. These guys in the NFL are huge. I just don't. We'll see. I do have to commend him because there was a few times where he got hit so hard, and I thought maybe they were gonna pull him, but then I saw him on like the next drive. So the guy is tough. From what I saw, Tutu, despite being small, did play tough last night, and I have some respect for him. I got a little more respect for Tutu after last night's performance, but it still doesn't take away my concerns that he can last for an entire season. Also with Tutu, Sean brought him aboard to be I heard that he brought him aboard to replace Deshaun Jackson, he even called him Deshaun Jackson Light or Junior or something of that matter. What does that mean, Duval County Rams fan? It means that he wants to use him as a deep threat weapon at some point, possibly even in this season here. And I can see why, because the guy is very fast. He has the ball in his hands. He can make people miss, and he has the potential for very big plays. Here's some things I'm concerned about. The other thing I'm concerned about Tutu, his size once again. This time, his height. Okay, because there was a few times Bryce Perkins threw the ball deep, and I love the fact that he threw deep, by the way. And Tutu was running, and it fell incomplete because it looked like the defensive backs were able to jump over Tutu and knock the ball away much easier because Tutu is a small guy. And that has me concerned because these defensive backs, I mean, they're quick too, man. And if they're running step for step with Tutu, my confidence level of him being able to out jump and out jump a defender and grab the ball in midair is not very high because he's just so small. I think all these defensive backs have to do is just jump a little bit and they're able to smack the ball away. And that happened a few times last night. And that's just one thing that concerns me because Tutu's going to have to burn them and have a few steps on them for him to be able to catch the ball deep, without them getting in his face. So some concerns still with Tutu Atwell, but overall I was pleased with his toughness. I am pleased with Tutu. I do like Tutu. I know I've kind of I put a lot of pressure on him, and that's really not his fault at all. It's more so the front office, drafting him as opposed to a position of need that we really needed, the center position, when there was like an all-pro in the making in there for them to take. But I've gone over that many times before, but I will bring it up again if it becomes an issue in the season. So a lot of pressure on Tutu in my eyes, but I think so far so good. He's been performing well. He has some concerns that I am hoping will be kind of ironed out before the season starts. So let me look at my notes from the game because there was a couple other things I want to talk about. Terrell Burgess made a appearance. I'm glad he's back. I thought he played decent. I think he's going to play very well for us. Yes, Jake Funk played well. Calais, yeah. Raymond Calais had it looked like a significant injury. I hope he's all right. We'll see what happens there. I really like the interviews with the starters. They had Deshaun Jackson and Jalen Ramsey being interviewed. I thought that was pretty cool. I really liked how Talib brought up the whole Hunter Renfrow kind of drama from the joint practice, and Talib was like, I think it's flattering. I think it's flattering that they're saying that Renfrow beat Ramsey. And I thought that was real funny. I kind of had a good laugh about that. Landon Akers. I thought Landon Akers played well, too. Here's another one who... Landon Akers, unfortunately, I don't think is going to make the roster. But I feel like he's someone maybe you can stash on the practice squad and develop. And maybe he can make the team, say, next year or 2 years from now. Because he's another guy. He's from Iowa, like the very great Kurt Warner. And I believe he had a similar job. I was like doing something when they were talking about him where they said he was not bagging groceries, but he had like a similar job. I couldn't tell what they were saying, but I thought he played well. He played with a lot of gumption. So I like players like that, guys who are underdogs, undrafted guys who come in because I think they play a little harder with a little more chip on their shoulders, and I really would like them to make the team. It's just our wide receiver room is so stacked. He's just not going to make it. But stick him on the practice squad and develop him, and we may have something in the future. One of the Raiders got flagged for taunting. I had a good laugh about that, but I am also concerned because these officials, they need to chill with all these flags for taunting, man. I really hope they don't go out of control with this during the regular season. I did hear that they plan to implement that for this season, and I just, I am not going to be pleased if they are just throwing a flag on every little bit of chirping or trash talking that we see from teams. Like if some teams are, man, F you, man, F you, that's a flag. I don't want to see that. That's some BS. All right? I mean, damn. Like just the fun police in full effects right now. But we shall see. Lord have mercy, excuse me. We shall see how they handle that. And also, I don't know if I'm the only one, but in the beginning of the game, I missed like a good chunk of the first quarter because the NFL Network decided to cut the Rams game and decided to air several other games for whatever reason. I do not know what the issue was there. All right, they had the Rams game on. They said, all right, they were saying that the Rams were scheduled for 10 o'clock, okay, for people on the East Coast, 10 o'clock. They were going to air it on NFL Network. I'm like, okay. They air it sometime in the first quarter. They switched the game to the Miami game. They switched it to Miami. I forget who they were playing, but they had that on for a little bit. And then they played the Seattle Seahawks and Denver Broncos game. Then they went back to the Pittsburgh Steelers Detroit Lions game. And then after that, they went back to the Rams game. And it stayed on the Rams game till the very end. I don't know what the hell that was all about. Now, I will say this. I'm not sure. I don't know if it was a possible feed issue. I was thinking maybe they were having trouble getting the feed and being able to air it. Like they had some technical difficulties. So in the meantime, while they were working on those technical difficulties, they were airing several of the other games. But let me tell you this, if it wasn't technical difficulties, and if someone in NFL Network decided, hey, let's do a cool thing because it's preseason to air multiple games at once, I think that'd be cool, right? It's preseason, so we can air do a little bit of the Rams game, do a little bit of the Dolphins game, do a little bit of the Steeler game. Let me just stop you right there, okay? I'm willing. Now I think it's just a fact. I think maybe there was either some confusion in the tech team, or maybe they just were having some technical difficulties. Like I said, airing the Rams game at some point in the first quarter. Maybe that was the issue. That was probably the issue, honestly. But on the off chance that someone made a decision, hey, let's air a bunch of these, do 10 minutes with this game, 10 minutes with that game. Don't do that again. Okay? I'm just a fan. I'm not in the broadcasting business, okay? But my opinion is don't do that again. In fact, if it was a legit decision for you guys to cut up the games like that, I think it was one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. I'm sorry. I really am. But I don't know what y'all were thinking, because in real time, I'm watching there. I'm drinking. I'm very confused. I'm like, what is this? I thought this was supposed to be the Rams game. If you're going to pick a game, you stick with one game. Okay? All right? I understand it's preseason. I understand maybe someone was trying to experiment and see, hey, let's do this, do that, do 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there. My opinion as a fan is it's not a very smart idea, okay? It's just not a very smart idea. Cut that shit out right now, okay? But like I said, it could have been technical difficulties, but I just had to get that in there because I was quite salty, and I was like scrambling trying to get the game. I tried to go on NFL Game Pass, uh, the where you can watch all the preseason games, and for at least for me, it wasn't working. I don't know if anybody out there in YouTube land had the same issues as I had, but the Game Pass thing was not working for me. I was signing up, but it just wouldn't load. It may have been on my end. It may have been my connection. I'm willing to admit that, but I don't know if anyone else had that issue. But it was just something I wanted to get in there. But after, so I guess the Raiders scored while they weren't airing the Rams game, which in hindsight is actually kind of a good thing. I don't want to see the Raiders score, but once it switched back to the Rams game, they left it there for the rest of the game, which tells me it was probably something having to do with a technical difficulty. I like the NFL Network. I like, watching Rich Eisen and my man Kurt Warner in the pregame show during the season. So I am a fan of the network. I just thought that decision to cut up the preseason games like that, if it was a decision, I do not know. I don't know this 100%. But if it was a decision to try something new, it just wasn't. It wasn't a good decision, and I don't think you should do it again. Just my humble opinion from the Duval County Rams fan. Okay, it's nothing but love here. All right. So that's going to be it for now. Overall, I was pretty pleased with I was overall pretty pleased. We're gonna have some tough decisions to make, man. The team has a lot of pretty good depth players on the roster, and if we're gonna lose some folks, I really am gonna hate to lose. I thought Roseboom played pretty well. Bronte Harris, some of the J.R. Reed played pretty well. A lot of these, we had a Hopkins signing. Bryce Hopkins played well too. Like he played decent. And that dude looks like he's been to the gym, bro. Like honestly, he looks like he's been hitting the weights. So they probably want him around as a blocker. They had Blanton. Kendall Blanton scoring the first touchdown. I think he's a depth piece at tight end too, and just a lot of tough decisions to make. But it'll be interesting to see how they choose to handle that. Overall, despite losing, I was quite pleased with the team. There was a few concerns. I want to see how they choose to address those, but we shall see how they do that. So that's going to be it for now, guys. I will see you guys on the next one.